It would seem like that's the going thing for the expansion, is that they're all like, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening, I'm gonna pass out.
3, 2, 1.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Server Restart In, a weekly World of Warcraft podcast where three opinionated players get together to discuss their thoughts about the current state of the game. My name is Jim. I'm joined by Kristen.
Hello.
And Brian.
Hi,
and we're back after a brief sabbatical, and quite a bit has happened. So, currently, let me pull up my notes.
it's over.
It's over.
Completely over.
No, okay.
The dream is
Congratulations,
done.
everyone.
You guys
Mission accomplished.
So, the world first race is going on right now for Mythic. I think that they were at 6 out of 6. I think was the highest. I can't see anymore. There we go. Currently, yeah, it looks like Liquid Echo and SK Pieces are all at 6 out of 11. So that's happening. Apparently, a lot of people opted to skip Heroic Jailer. And a Chinese guild got the world first on the Heroic Jailer. Because everybody else decided it wasn't worth the gear for doing their Mythic runs.
Huh.
Interesting.
Which is weird. I would not have expected that to have happened or to be a thing. But then again, I don't participate in world first races. So who the hell knows?
Is this fairly longer than the
No.
other world firsts have been?
Well, it's 11 bosses, so it's more than I think the other raids by like 1 or 2 bosses, maybe.
Oh, that's fair.
But the last ones usually at least go a reset.
Yeah, they kind of have. I don't think there's any that have been done within a reset. So we're what? It's Friday. Came out on Tuesday, so we're like about halfway through. Kind of.
They're not done yet.
Yeah.
They're barely halfway through the damn thing.
I've been enjoying watching it. I always do enjoy watching it though.
If I was doing it, I'd be done already. But I don't even feel like doing it. So.
Yeah, totally.
No. Yeah. Battle categories. But,
totally.
So with 9.2 came the Sepulcher of the first ones, and we had our first, guild and friends raid on Sunday, and it was interesting. We did the first boss, and then we went to Skolix, which is the worm boss, and tried a few different strats, and nearly got him down, but hit the enrage timer. But other than the trash being kind of shitty, thoughts on it?
The first phase of the first boss was like, what, 7 minutes long? 5 minutes long?
Yeah, we feel better about, it's the core thing, right? Like, it's that core mechanic.
Yeah.
That is the...
As you kill the ads, they empower the robot that shields you, but I think it's still on a timer because I don't think the boss's energy fills at a different rate. I think it ticks. So like if you haven't got one of those bots up by the time he gets his energy up to 100, it's a wipe, which is, which means your DPS is way too slow. And then the third phase of that boss is also a DPS burn from 15% to 0 because he does, an increased damage pulse throughout that last phase. that you kind of have to. It's like a hard enrage, or I'm sorry, a soft enrage. Because if you don't kill them fast, eventually the healers aren't gonna be able to keep you up, kind of thing.
Kind of a weird check too. Like, is that boss not intended to do like second then?
No, that is the first boss. You can't enter the rest of the raid until you beat that boss. He's like the gatekeeper. It's like Harik. No, that was the bat low. It's like, is it Shriekwing in Castle Denathrius? Like you walk into the castle, it's the first boss, right? You can't go anywhere else without killing him. It is kind of weird, but I also feel that, I don't know, like the normal raid drops for, what was it? Sanctum of Domination was like, what, 226? So even if you just did that, you're maybe floating around 230 if you got some decent drops from like the last two bosses or whatever. And then to go in and now they're dropping like 252s. That's a hell of a jump. That
is pretty significant.
Now, I think they did give you a decent like gear catch up in Zera's Mortis, like just like the World Quest and like all the quests give you all those different like 239 pieces or whatever. Even though a lot of people are complaining that they're losing haste, which is like their primary stat or something like that, or one of like their main stats.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I don't know if they're not expecting you to have raid gear that has good stats on it, and now you're getting like the welfare epics or whatever you want to call them, because they're like everything's fucking purple now. But some people are having issues with their stats based on that. But it feels like there's a big gap between the two raid instances. And these fights they don't feel difficult, but they don't feel easy. Like there's like a very small window of small margin of error, I feel, on some of these, right? Like when we were doing the Skull X stuff, where you have to get over, all the guys are talking about having groups of ranged swap in and out to get the different stacks that he spits out. So we tried doing that. And then we found that, well, we're melee heavy. We have one ranged DPS, but we have two ranged healers. And if we just let them stay out and do it that way, and then we clear it, after a couple of wretches or whatever, it seemed to work out fine. And it kept most of our DPS on the boss doing DPS instead of having to run out. So it's just interesting that we had to modify the strat for it, but I don't know, I feel like there's going to be some rough bosses in there for us, but I feel that we'll eventually get it.
Yeah.
So take a little bit of time getting a little bit of gear and stuff like that. So
it was fun. I enjoyed it. I always like raiding though.
Yeah, I think overall, so far what we've seen, I think I like the raid. It feels doable and it feels new. And the fights don't seem to be boring. The fucking trash fights, though, to get to Skull X were shit.
It was annoying.
And it's like, I don't know if it was...
I'm pretty sure I died like 20 times.
I don't know if we were over-pulling. I don't know if we just were, if that was the case. But, we eventually got through it. It just was not the most pleasant, when like the trash is kind of like a buzzkill, so to speak.
Well, it was, we were not paying the most attention on the trash, I think. We weren't paying, we were kind of joking around and
and that's kind of we get like that, where like we're just kind of like, oh yeah, hi, it's just like normal stuff, let's just run in and do whatever. And it's like, oh, we gotta have to pay attention and do certain things here, or we're gonna just eat shit. And we ate shit for a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, but it was still, it was, I had fun. I mean, I enjoyed healing. It was interesting.
Yeah, I'm not saying it wasn't fun. I'm just saying it's, it's going to take a little bit more focus than we're used to, I think.
Yeah.
On trash, at least.
I like figuring out the fights. Like, that's my favorite part is, not us looking up what other people's strategies have done, but us figuring out what works for us.
Yeah. It's nice to kind of know what the mechanics are so you can kind of formulate something based on that. So, for what that's worth, it's like the first boss, there really isn't like a different strategy we could do. It's like these are the mechanics, you just have to do them. But like the Skolex one, we figured out like a way to manage the mechanics that is not necessarily what other people tend to do. And it could, our group is smaller, and maybe those mechanics are based more on like your normal balanced, 25 man or something like that, or whatever the hell the max is on raids. And now I don't know. I thought it was
good.
It was a good
I had
time.
fun.
Yeah, and we're gonna do it again. So, yay!
Yay!
That is a plus, and we have more people. We had more
We
people.
do. We had like 2 or 3 more people than we normally do. So it's always good to have that, because it kind of bolsters the numbers. It gives us a little bit more different like cooldowns and whatnot. So, yay for that.
Yay!
April 19th is the announcement for
The dragons.
Yeah, WoW 2. The next expansion.
I love how we all said
It
something
can't
different.
expand anymore. We've already seen the cosmos.
The dragons.
We don't know what it is.
Remember,
The
somebody just tried to end the
dragons.
cosmos.
I want to be a dragon.
There's no expansion possible.
I want to be a dragon, Blizzard. So
The universe is constantly expanding.
Yeah, but I mean, is it really like it's
it
exponential at
really?
this point? No one really cares.
is it really expanding?
In the first 2 seconds, it was the most dramatic. Now it doesn't even matter anymore.
You're kind of right.
It's kind of sad.
So it'll be interesting to see what comes up with that.
Of course, it will be. What are you kidding?
I'm
can't wait.
I'm excited. Yeah, I want.
I forgot to go scour Reddit for
scam posts or
conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
I don't know what you fucking call them, but
or like the leaks, the fake leaks or whatever.
the fake
Oh,
leaks.
yeah.
Yes. Oh, give me the juicy.
Yeah.
We saw some of those not that long ago, and maybe
The dragons.
yeah, the dragon.
That was when all the dragon shit came out, I think.
Yeah, it was when they released. They had the bundle pack on the store with all the dragon mounts and pets.
Oh yeah.
Like a lot of like, oh, this is when they normally do that, and then they have, all the these are like hints for the next expansion and all that stuff, and maybe it'll be right. That would be nice, but so
it'll be completely different.
yeah. So there are currently in game 2 cinematics. And then since the jailer's been defeated or whatever, there's that cinematic. So the first cinematic started off. Did it start off Zereth Mortis? Or was it in the second week?
Which one?
The one with Sylvanas. The we talked about this one already. The fractured legacy. The one where she's like unconscious and Uther's sitting there and like kind of goes in and tells her she has to come to terms with.
Yeah, doesn't it spin off one of the? I don't know if that was one that leads us off into Zereth Mortis.
I think it does. I think it's
Maybe so.
I think it's a couple of quests in, and then you talk to Bolvar and he tells you about it because you're like, hey, what the heck happened?
By the way, I don't sound anything cool like the old Lich King. I just kind of sound
Out of breath.
iffy. I'm just indifferent about everything. But I know everything for some fucking reason.
He's the Chekhov's gun. But, yeah, so we saw that when we talked about the one. So the second week started with the cinematic for the defeat of Anduin. So, like, the first week the raid was out, you could only get up to Anduin. So the second week, it acts as if, you know, like the storyline just tells that story, right?
That's not normal, right? Like, they
kind of
didn't hold back bosses before, did they?
They've started this. No, they've never held back bosses, but they held this one back because it fit better into the story. Because
I like that, even though we'd like nowhere near ever getting to that point. Like, I kind of liked it.
No, yeah, no, I agree. It's
being gated.
Well, it's not, it's like an artificial gate because we like for our group, we raid on Sunday nights, so we're late in the week anyway, right? And that was 8 bosses in. We probably weren't going to get that far anyway, right? So,
Jim, I swear.
Oh, you know, we're not going to get that far. We're going to get
you
all
and
the
your
bosses.
The first
you
night.
And your pessimism.
The first night.
Oh, the first night.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh.
We would have gotten there if you just believed. And
we would have raided for 24 hours.
Yeah. Or whatever.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
We did spend like, was it 5.5 or 6 hours in a plus 17 back in.
We did.
In BFA.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
That sucked.
Yeah.
I didn't go to work. I didn't go to work the next day.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was hilarious.
I was like, I was up late. I don't feel good. But that was a while ago. But yeah, no. So I do like that because like since there was a cinematic around it, they wove it into the story because it went with the campaign. So and it doesn't impact the world first progression because Mythic wasn't even out. You know what I mean? So it's not like it was going to really impact things, so to speak.
Right.
Other than them maybe getting loot from the last couple bosses on Heroic or something. But I think you could get all your tier stuff before that anyway, so. But yeah, so that's the one where at the end, it seems that Anduin, you know, slams the Morn Blade into the ground and starts to, you know, unleash domination magic or something like that, like a big smoky cloud, and it looks like he's getting sucked into the sword. But then, you know, a ghostly hand appears and puts a hand on his shoulder, talking about the sword, how it was forged in valor, and it's, you know, it's his father, Varian Wren. You know,
it was cool.
So we get to see Varian again, who's there to encourage his son, and then all of a sudden there's another ghostly hand from the other side, and it's Sourfang, you know, talking about how the sword's also forged in honor, you know, and like, you know, even in this dark place, we're here with you, and they help him separate. Was it Charlian is the name of the sword, I think? Separate it into the two halves, which breaks the hold on him, you know, and then his cool armor dissipates, you know, and he goes back to the stupid Alliance armor.
That was kind of stupid.
Yeah. But then like there's like a piece of the helm. It's kind of hard to see, but on the ground in front of him is a piece of the helm, and then there's a floating blue spirit that was in the sword, or a part of the spirit, which turns out to be Arthas, or whatever's left of Arthas. And it seems to me that they implied that Arthas's soul, after his defeat, was used in the crafting of Morn Blades. Now, I don't know if that one that Anduin had is the...
Yeah, but the cool thing is they don't actually go into anything as to why that's fucking relevant. Right?
It's not relevant. It's just kind of...
Well, not that I'm saying... Not that it's not relevant, but like what would have made... What really is so fucking significant about Arthas, other than the fact that he's threaded throughout the story that have influence these characters so damn much. Because at a certain point, he was just a pawn.
He was,
Yeah.
but he
So-
was also the Lich King for a while and was very accepting of it. And maybe by having the armor of, I'm pretty sure it was the armor of domination is what it was really called that he had. Plus having Frostmourne, you know, it, I think, really, plus he had the control of all the undead. So he was maybe just like absorbed a bunch of stuff and just became like a vessel for it, kind of, potentially. I don't know.
It's funny because, like, it's just tough to swallow a little bit, just because, like, you could feel the retconniness in it. And I'm not opposed to retcons by any means, but it just feels enough artificial to me to feel bad. Like, it's hard to
Yeah.
look back on Lich King. It's hard to look back on Warcraft 3 and think like, oh, let's try. Like, I guess should be able to apply this thing over the top of the thought of that storyline and see that it fits. And I know it just
Well, what if you think about, like, as maybe being used in the crafting or the smithing of these swords was a punishment and a torture for his soul, as opposed to being a necessity of it, but maybe that was because he failed as the Lich King. He was defeated, right? And so his soul, you know, they cast him into, like, Uther cast him into the maw. And so now he's there, and he was just like Garrosh, right? Garrosh was a powerful soul, which they were using to drain the anima from. That was like his use. Like, he was a anima battery, basically, his soul was, until he detonated it like an anima bomb, you know, and basically gave everybody the finger.
and a big flappy jaws.
Yeah. But you know, so maybe that was, oh, here's this powerful soul that we can use, and maybe that's just, and they just, you know, because I mean, everybody, this whole expansion.
Well, he did have some, like, I mean, so he was a paladin, right? So then he's a paladin. Was he a part of, like, the Silver Hand or whatever? So maybe he had, like,
he was
special connection,
not,
like was he
Tyrion?
not?
I don't think he was a paladin. Maybe he was.
He was a paladon. I don't know. My point is, like, maybe he had some special connection that made him like Tyrion, right? Because Tyrion technically is the one that broke the Lich King, right? It was the light with Tyrion that broke the Lich King, or
Well,
the
okay,
Frostmourne.
So the light,
the blade,
he
right?
used the light to break out of the ice block, and then used his hammer to shatter it. But he was empowered
like,
by the
Super
light.
Saiyan 1. He was Super Saiyan by that point. So
Yeah, no, you're right. He absolutely went Super Saiyan. Like, his eyes glowed blue, and he got blonde
like,
hair.
yeah, and he was like, ah! But no, I think at that point though, yeah, maybe the whole reason in the first place, that he was susceptible to whoever contacted whatever, right, and got him to do all these things. It wasn't like a Northrend expedition or some crap like that where he did that, he had that calling or some shit. I don't fucking remember. Point being, like, maybe there was something about him that, right, was kind of close to maybe the power, not the power that Tyrion had, obviously, because it's drastically different.
But he
or at
was
least
strong.
it's
But he was a
suggested to be.
strong individual.
Right, so maybe same with, like, Ner'zhul. Wasn't Ner'zhul, like, the one that was tortured nonstop? Not that he was, like, strong, but strong enough to be tortured, for whatever reason. So yeah, I don't know. That's me trying to make sense of it. Whenever, like, I don't know.
Oh, I get it. There's a lot here that's.
I mean, I think
Clear
it's
as
cool
mud.
that they all have their, like, like, not redemption, but, like,
Closure.
wash, not even closures. They're just washing their hands of that, and it kind of reflects, I feel like, maybe what Blizzard's experiencing, you know, over the last year or two. Like, Maybe they're just washing their hands of this and moving forward. I don't know.
Are
Trying
you
to
saying
save
Arthas'
face on a
soul is an
character that
allegory
maybe,
to Bobby Kotick?
possibly, they're just the whole shit show in general. I don't know.
It could be.
Um,
I mean, I feel like with the whole expansion, everybody was like, "Where's Arthas? Where's Arthas?" Right? Everybody was I bet okay.
Yeah, see, I hope it wasn't that. Like, I think everybody knew. The whole front side of the story is based on Arthas. we rip the fucking thing open. We go to the place that he's sitting there guarding. We begin to understand what the hell is going on to a certain extent. Even though the pointy antennas don't really make sense until the very end of the expansion, which is the dumbest thing. And like, it's all on the front, and then with the story where dude drops him into the mall, like, and then I remember us talking about that. I remember us talking about that and being like, what's going to happen? Where is it going to pop up? All this stuff, right? And it never happened. So, it makes sense that he has some sort of closure in this whole storyline, but again, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I could complain about it, but there's nothing I could do. I'm just a little.
Yeah,
Missed opportunity feeling, I don't know, not super bad, but a little bit.
A lot of people have complained about it, about the, it's like, well, I mean, not just that, it's like, it was insignificant. It's just at that point when Arthas is reintroduced, he's nothing but like a fragment of a soul in a sword.
I mean, to a certain extent, I again, that's what I like, because I don't think they should have done it at all, to be honest. Like, whatever. He threw him in there. There should have been better closure to that story about, like, he threw him in there. Okay, dude took his, like, soul. He like, tortured him for whatever, and then took a shit and put it into a sword or something. I don't know. And be done with it. Like, just be done with it. I gotta be done. Right?
It would
Everything,
have,
like...
Yeah, if they had actually... Some things are, it's like maybe they were going for a surprise that he was there and all that stuff. But really, it's like people don't want, like, it's not like, who's behind the mask kind of thing, right? It's like
Right.
that could have been something that they could have.
Arthas as the Lich King was completely badass. Let's leave him to the feeling and the story behind him being a badass Lich King. Even though, like, in the story it's bad, blah, 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 all the stuff. Whatever, don't care. He was still badass. Stop trying to ruin the fucking character already and just let him have his legacy in the fucking story and leave it be. Right? I don't think in the end we really needed to know that he's this fucking wisp that popped out of a fucking sword that got smashed into it in the beginning. And then now we're all like, oh, you ruined my life. Oh, and you ruined my life. Oh, and you ruined our lives. And now you helped us get to this place where we're at the end of the fucking netherworld undead area thing. And we're at the edge of existence. And this guy's threatening to remove the cosmos and erase it and all this other extreme stupid shit that's so far-fetched. Oh, but it's all right. Bye. Bake
Peace
on.
out.
It's just like, I don't know. I'm only a little bit miffed just because I don't think the whole community needs fan service to the extent of just highlighting these stupid things. There's so much more shit they should be telling in this fucking expansion to make it worth our time and money to be a part of, that they're missing out on. And it's shit like this that really just irritates me to hell and back. Right? And there's so many of these situations. Again, I know we haven't talked about the cinematic yet, but the cinematic that actually tells us something about the antennas on top of Ice Crown Citadel, and then the one that opened up that we clearly saw that there was some sort of connection, but we had no idea, right? And then now we finally get an idea of what it was doing the whole time, or the intention was. Like,
All right. Well,
I don't give a shit about Arthas as a wisp when it doesn't even fucking matter. If he's not going to talk, if he's not going to do anything, I don't care. These stories have already happened, right? Sylvanas already happened. There's nothing to say by presenting a cinematic that we all get sad about and bleh, right? Like, cool. The Sourfang and Varian, right? Yeah, that was cool. Like, whatever. Like, he has inner strength. There's some light there, right? And they're a little bit more powerful. We obviously realize that they're more powerful than this domination, death magic stuff, right? And that's good. Like, we understand that domination, even though it's a hugely strong word, is not the end-all be-all that you can't overcome somehow, right? And he kind of proves that, and he does that, and like it means that whatever. That means that there's some light, and it's stronger, and blah blah, and he can defeat it. Cool. And it should have ended right there. All right, I'm done. I would do a mic drop, but I don't want to throw my mic.
Yeah, you probably should. So okay, so let's roll into the cinematics for the jailer, the last part of the jailer. So there is an intro cinematic where you walk into wherever it is in the Sepulcher, the first ones in the very center or whatever, and the jailer's talking about how, you know, he's been planning this all along. Everything was him setting it up, you know, and it goes to Ice Crown, and then it drops down, and it pans down beneath Ice Crown into.
And he has. Oh my gosh, he has the. He's got the balls to say, "Do you even know how long I planned it, or can you even fathom how long I planned this?" And like, no, we can't. Actually, we can't at all because nobody actually told us
how long you'd been locked up. Yeah.
Gosh.
But so, and then he somehow remotely activates the Forge of Souls beneath Ice Crown, which was the dungeon.
Pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
You know, and like those were initially thought to just be, because that was the dungeon that had the three-faced boss at the end. What the fuck does he say? It's so quotable too.
Oh, I don't remember because that was a copycat from.
Oh, does he say you're not prepared? Oh,
you only delay the inevitable.
Yeah, you only delay the inevitable. Right, that thing at the end.
Yeah, wasn't it a copy model thing from Black Temple too? Wasn't there one like that there?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was.
The fragment of whatever.
Yeah, that was a shit fight. Jesus.
That was a shit fight.
We had to go through the Ghost Gauntlet to get to or whatever.
Yep.
Yep.
Right. So, and then that activates, and apparently what it's there for is to chew up the soul of Azeroth and send it on over. So it does that, shoots a beam out, which goes.
It's funny because
Torghast.
was it actually even able to be used until Azeroth was wounded, though?
So the question then becomes, when was Ice Crown built? Because they retconned how it was built. That initially Arthas went there and built it, but they retconned it that it was built prior to him getting there. So the question becomes, how long was it there? And was it there before they ripped out the old world or the old god that caused the wound of Azeroth, right? That created the Well of Eternity. So that happened like 10,000 years ago. I don't think Ice Crown was there that long ago. I think the way it works is Jailer gets locked up, right? And Azeroth is then wounded. Sargeras finds out about the Void Gods and all that stuff. And then kills all the other Titans because they don't want to help him. Then he enslaves, or he thinks, the Nathrazim, who report back to Denathrius, who reports to the Jailer about this world soul that Sargeras is trying to find that's already been injured before. And so Then he sends the Nathrezim to find it. They find it. They build Icecrown. They get it all ready, which is why, they probably helped set up the Dark Portal to get Ner'zhul over there and all this other stuff and get everything ready. And eventually, they were somehow going to do stuff. And like, but like, we kept fucking shit up until he was able.
It was literally a Scooby-Doo episode.
Well, it's like a Scooby-Doo inside a Scooby-Doo, right? Because we defeated Arthas and Bolvar took over. Bolvar wasn't as influenced as Arthas was, so he was able to fight it and keep the Scourge at bay, which fucked up the jailer's plan, right? So then he's like...
Which is really weird considering that Bolvar has been a huge pussy this expansion.
Well, he doesn't have the helm anymore.
I know, but I got this big badass mace or hammer, and I don't do shit.
Yeah. Oh, he's afraid that he'll get dominated again. He's like worthless. He's like gun shy about the shit. But
that would be awesome, though. That would be a fantastic fight, right?
If this
dude's like nonstop. Yeah. Ooh. And his daughter is there on set.
Brian. Ooh.
But then
that would be good. Think about it. Remember the freaking opening cinematic in the expansion?
When he fought Sylvanas, yeah.
Oh yeah, and he kicked on the freaking
the
full
Lich King power, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that was so badass. Damn.
But so then the jailer has to take another tactic because he's got to get control of Icecrown again or something. He's got to do something. So he goes through because he's got ties to the Nathrezim, and the Nathrezim are part of the Burning Legion, and we have Legion. The expansion comes out. So when Vol'jin gets injured, he has an opening, and Muzala's already in his pocket at this point. So he gets Muzala to act the Loa and just whisper who the next chief is to influence that, which is why she becomes war chief, which then just kind of kicks all this stuff on, because even though she's broken free of the domination, she apparently is maybe still tied to it somehow or something. Or this is after she threw herself off Icecrown and all this stuff. Anyway, he activates the beam, then the fight happens, and then you kill him, and then he falls down, and he just starts having flashbacks about everybody basically telling him, how disappointed they are in him as he's getting shackled to be sent to the Maw to become the jailer. And then, he basically utters that, what did he say? A cosmos divided can't survive.
Are they talking about light and...
I don't know if he's talking... I don't know what the divide is, right? Because you have 6 major points in the cosmology chart.
Yeah.
With light and void being at the top. But you have, I think, a couple other ones. But you also have life and death. Is that the divide he's talking about? I don't know. He knows something that he thinks that he is the only one capable of fixing. And he thinks his way of fixing it is to somehow get the power to destroy and recreate the universe in his image in a way that there is no divide, but then that is, are we talking about something that already exists in the universe? Because light and void already exist in the universe. If he rewrites the universe, does that mean that he's just erasing the threat? Or is there a threat from outside the universe that is out there, right?
And how does he know about it? Even as an arbiter? How?
Well, okay, so I heard a theory.
Oh.
I did do some stuff that potentially, as being the arbiter, he encounters a bunch of souls. And maybe he encountered a soul that encountered this that then tipped him off. Kind of like how Sargeras encountered a void world or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So, maybe in his job as arbiter, because he touches every soul that comes in, right? So he has access to all this information. So then he finds something out, and
It would seem like that's the going thing for the expansion is that they're all like, this is happening. This is happening. This is happening. I'm going to pass out. Like, wasn't it Devos, right? And then she went wild because...
Devos gone wild.
Devos gone wild. Oh, there you go, Jim. Happy naming.
Yep, we got to title the episode now.
Oh, no.
But isn't that the reason she went wild is because of Uther, learning about Uther and what he was struggling with and how, oh my gosh, what we have here I just leaked out there and it's coming in here and it's wide open. Whoa, like all that crap. It was, I mean, that's what this expansion was. It was a bunch of like mortals, domination, scars from other things. Well, all these, you can't, I don't know, you can't turn blue? What? I don't know, like, that's all it's been. Like, and, okay, great. Like, we were never supposed to be there, right? So they somehow circumvented, you know, the dude, domination stuff, got outside, convinced people to do weird things so they can open a hole and do some shit. And the whole point was to get a huge-ass gun.
Well...
And Lord, like, what the fuck was he gonna do with it anyways? And then...
So, leaving the Shadowlands is not like an impossible task. We already know.
Take the portal, Jim. Just take the portal.
Yeah,
Oh,
just take
stop.
the portal.
Because the Nathrazim, because we know the Nathrazim can go wherever they want.
Right.
They go all over the place. We also know that if you remember the Draka, whatever animation thing, when she's learning how to be in the House of Spies or whatever, they show her going to a world that is a Legion world because it's got are they Felguards or are they whatever they're called, like the big dudes, right? So it's possible to leave the Shadowlands for the Covenants and like the people that populate the Covenants. Like the souls just can't leave, right?
Which is so weird though, Jim. Like it's just like
it's like your normal citizens camp, but like you're like they're I don't know. Maybe they don't want to. I don't know.
It doesn't make sense though, Jim.
A lot of it doesn't make sense, you know, but it's there. So then he fades away and turns back into the proto form, right? And his orb in the center just goes dull. And then he's just sitting there and the life goes out of his eyes or whatever. So that raises a few questions. So I know if you look at the boss fight, there's the proto pantheon or like the proto eternal ones that you fight, which are like, you know, not completed versions of like the Primus and the Winter Queen, all that stuff, and they, you know, have the circle and all that stuff. But does that mean are they actually skins over these proto suits created by magic kind of thing? Or was that really the jailer?
What are their names again? Or what are they considered? Eternal ones or first ones?
Eternal ones. The first ones are the ones that created everything.
Yeah, so I think it's just like, yes, that's what they are, because that's what they were created for a purpose, and that's what they're based on, and that is what it is. I don't think that's any more than that right there, honestly.
I don't know.
And I think there's enough. I think there's enough in Zereth Mortis to suggest that yes, that makes sense, right? Because if that was the point of creation, at least for the Shadowlands, if not everything else, then that would make sense. Because if they only exist there to do that single purpose, or you know, like reasonably that single purpose, to operate the Shadowlands or whatever it does.
So that's
then that
great.
Makes sense.
That's great, and that makes sense. You're right, but I want to get fucking crazy. I want to think that that's not the jailer. That was something that he
You're
made.
doing some Loki shit. You're doing some Loki shit.
You're
now,
fucking right. Like that wasn't really him, but like it was his conscience in a remote body.
Yeah.
Because if you look at it, he's in Zereth Mortis. He's in the Sepulcher, and he activates the Forge of Souls, which shoots shit into Torghast, because we know for a fact that the two parts of Ice Crown and Torghast are mirrored, right? So it's going in there. But apparently, I think that the Azerite soul juice is getting sent to the Sepulcher somehow. But he didn't know where that place was. How does that happen? How does he get all that stuff connected if he doesn't even know where it's at? And he can't get there till he gets everybody's sigil.
Are you suggesting maybe we didn't kill the dude? The real one?
The real Lich King? The real jailer? Yeah. Well, I mean, technically, I guess he would technically be the real Lich King. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying maybe that wasn't really him. Because
I mean, don't get me wrong, if it's not, I'm gonna be pissed because they didn't suggest anything about that yet.
I mean, but this whole expansion's just been like a right?
It's true, but I think they know by now we're tired of that shit, right? And we
well, you think you are, but you're not.
Oh god. Okay,
no.
so the jailer. Okay, all right. So the jailer's gonna take a portal back in time.
And he's got to go back in time and make sure his parents get together, like in Back to the Future.
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be Watt all over again.
Like with Gul'dan.
Yeah, but then the Lich King is gonna like also come back and then whoop his ass, and then somehow there's gonna be like a big hand that crushes him, and then we gotta save the world that we're in, even though it's not fucking relevant at all.
That's another thing too, though, right? So like the fact that he's trying to get the soul of Azeroth, it's supposedly like a nascent Titan, right? It's a Titan world soul. That's what the Titans were. And it's like he had access to Sargeras through the Nathrezim, so he could have claimed his soul, potentially. So I'm wondering, everything revolves around Azeroth and the world soul of Azeroth, right? Everything. The Burning Legion wants it. The Void Lords wanted it. The Light probably wants it. He wanted it because it was an available thing. What if...
I want it. I want it too. Like, yeah. Everybody else wants it. I want it.
Magni wanted it,
The fucking Magni.
But what if Azeroth isn't really a Titan? What if it's actually like a first one?
What do we even do with that information, though?
Oh, I don't know.
We don't even know how to react if it's actually a Titan. Like, are we gonna die when it's done? Like, it's gonna happen.
When
no one knows. It's so stupid. Yeah, like eggs just gonna crack and we're all done. There's WoW 2. Finally.
WoW 2 Shatters of Azeroth.
Oh man,
I don't know.
Shit show.
I don't know. I don't mind the ending cinematic, right? Has been getting a lot of flack and a lot of hate because it just doesn't feel like a good ending. But it's also not necessarily.
It was a good ending to a story that wasn't told well, though. That's the thing about it.
Right.
It was a good ending, but the story was never told about him. And in the end, he was displayed as this weak, concerned piece of shit, rather than the strong-ass being that he was the entire time. That's what irritated me the most.
Yeah.
When he looks up with his puppy dog eyes, like, but what are you going to do? I have the solution, and you're... Well, it's like, really?
No, technically, that was the jailer back in time. When he's shackled and he's down like that, that's him getting bound before he actually becomes the jailer.
Okay, well then maybe I'm wrong then. Yeah, I don't.
But still. So I've watched some analysis stuff of this, and somebody made a really good point that this is kind of something because this is telling how he started, right? This would have been good information at the beginning of the expansion to know who he was and why. And it just feels like they they tried to do like this whole like man behind the curtain type thing, and didn't really.
And maybe they were trying to patch the gap or something. Like, it does feel like it feels odd. Like you watch it over and over, and you trying to line them all up, and it feels odd. So maybe they're trying to pave over something there that was missing.
Well, there's also theories that because of everything going on, that initially Anduin was supposed to be the last boss in the Sepulcher, right? And then that there was going to be another raid, an actual Torghast raid, where you actually fight the jailer in Torghast, because that would make more sense for the Forge of Souls to kick on and all that stuff, and him being Torghast, where the energy's actually coming in.
That would have been interesting, though. I think that it would have been really interesting.
So it feels like, so some people are saying that it feels like some of this stuff is like cut up and like moved around just to kind of get some sort of coherent story done, maybe, so they can just get out of this hole they dug.
I wish they would just tell us. I don't think that it's doing anyone a disservice by telling us exactly. Like, hey, we're going to do it this way. But it didn't work out, and we save face this way.
I think that they're doing
Blah, blah,
better.
blah, 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 PR stuff.
I think they're doing better at admitting fault for certain things. I don't know if they've come far enough to feel like they can be that open if that was the case. Like, hey guys, sorry your story's fucked up, but
It's not even that really, but like it's more just like we had a lot happening. We went through a lot as a company and as a family and all this stuff, right?
yeah.
And we kind of faltered on delivery. And this was our way of trying to help mend that a little bit. If that were the case.
Yeah, we don't know.
That's what I would...
And
right, well, that's
unfortunately-
what I'm saying. Like, I don't think it would hurt at all just to simply be like, that's the case. We're wrapping the story up. It was a whole thing that was retconned by the most evil man in the world. He tried to ruin all these good characters. He's a piece of shit, and now he's gone, and now we want to fix it, and we want to really get back to it, and we just wanted to put a bow on it and say goodbye. Like, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. Well, I think that there's one good thing that we can take away from this, right? Is that Nathanos has yet to shown up, which means Sylvanas is a free agent.
I was gonna say Jim has a chance.
So
Poor Nathanos, man.
he got the short end of the stick, man. You know, he was faithful in all the other stuff, you know, even though she
Was a bitch.
you know, yeah, and maybe he didn't agree, but maybe he, you know, was like loyalty before. I don't know.
A brain.
He
not
had open concerns in the book, didn't he?
What?
Didn't he show open concern in the book? I'm pretty sure that he did.
A
Or it
little.
was one of the storytellings that he had open concerns about
Yeah,
what she was doing.
and I think she like quickly put him in his place, maybe about it. I don't know.
Go to your house, and I will tell you when to come out.
Oh, that's because he failed.
Your head's gonna cut off. About
That's because he failed when he was trying to do the to kill
Yeah,
whatever and
right.
do all that shit. Because he traded his locket of her to the Blood Witch for that stuff, and then failed. You know,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Zandalar.
and that's when
Then he
Zakan.
went back to he went back to the country home and started playing his banjo about losing his lover and stuff.
Yeah, and then we showed up, and then
I mean, got his fucking head off. Damn.
yeah. Well, I don't know. That's kind of all I had for this. I don't know if you guys had anything that really kind of stuck out or that you wanted to discuss, maybe.
No, I mean the first cinematic as they walk into the raid, the fight for a jailer was really cool. Because he kind of turns around and he just
He materializes his
invokes-
mace.
Yes, that's so awesome, dude. Oh my gosh, and you could just feel the pain of that mace smashing into someone. Ugh.
That's the
And
one.
then-
That's the one that you can get that has it'll like
I
suck
know.
rip souls out when you fight.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to get
man,
that.
I can't, that's freaking awesome, man. But then in the end, he withers away, and
Well,
even that, even a lot of that, just I don't know.
see, the problem with that is that there's a fight in the middle of those two cinematics. You know what I mean?
No. That's fine. That's not what I'm saying, though. What I'm saying is, in the end, even after all that, it's not that he's a lifeless or becoming a lifeless being laying on the ground anymore. He is just dematerializing to whatever state, and that's it. Like, that's the end of him. The most interesting dude in the world that no one ever told a story about until the very end. And he goes out and doesn't exist anymore. And he has the same statement that almost every fucking boss in the game has.
Okay.
You don't know how complicated this is. And I'm not going to tell you.
So there were some analogies made, right? So like he was likened to Sargeras, right? Except Sargeras went and asked for help and was denied it from, the Titan Pantheon. They denied him help, and so he killed them all. And then, whereas Zoval didn't go to them for help, and because of that, they locked him up. So it's kind of like an inverse type thing, but they both knew something bad was out there and wanted to do something about it. They just took two different paths and they ended in two different ways. And there was also a discussion brought up that, like N'Zoth said some stuff that there was, I'm protecting you from whatever, some big bad thing. And like some people are like, oh, it's the jailer, it's death. And it's like, what if it's not? What if it's the same thing? You have all these different factions out there, the light, the void, life, death, all these other things, right? And they all know that there's something out there that needs to be stopped, but they can't come to agreement on how to do it. So they all try to do it their own way while fighting each other to stop each other from doing it their way. So, I don't know. I hope what happens is we get to go back to Azeroth, do some stuff on Azeroth for an expansion or whatever. Get some.
No. 5 expansions. 5 expansions so we can fucking forget about the fact that we are one step away from the most outer ring of the entire universe and lore that's possible. Let's just get away from that, because we should accept the fact that it's too far-fetched for us to understand as people in this universe to be that close to it, right? It's okay that Shadowlands happened, we had some Azerothiness to us, and now we had access to all these weird things, and we fulfilled prophecy, blah, 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 all that garbage, right? No more of it. Let's back away from it, please.
I don't know.
Let's just go have 5 healthy expansions over 10 years, Jim.
Oh, God.
10 years. Give me 10 years of Azeroth, going to a tavern, having an ale, raiding, I don't know, the streets of Stormwind, right? Burn and pillage and stuff like that, right? Maybe one dragon flies around as a nuisance. Not one that destroys the world. Just one that may destroy a city.
Spoiler, it's me. I'm the dragon that flies around.
She's gonna be dragging her balls all over your
All right, well, I think we're going to go ahead and call it there. Thanks, everybody, for listening. You can check us out at facebook.com/server restartin. You can shoot us a tweet at server_restart. And, let us know what your favorite fish is, whether it's a Zolval fish or not. I don't know.
Just get over the fish already.
I'm never over the fish.
What's your favorite balls?
Bouncy.
It's not the jailer.
Yeah. Anyway, catch you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.